All right, welcome to the Quarantine Check-In. I am with one of my favorite Detroit comics, the one and only Mike Bobbitt. What is going on?
I like how you paused for a second like you were trying to remember my name. That makes me feel really good, Robert.
I always remember your name. You are one of
You're
my
like, I am here with
Look, I got to tell you,
Golfer Time, one of my favorites.
I had to let my entire staff go,
Oh, okay.
which was my cat. He didn't want to
Oh,
work.
no.
He didn't want to work for free.
Oh, you know they work for food.
No, he orders me to give him food. Like every morning when I wake up, I hear meow, and then I have to go feed him.
Oh, yeah, that's how I wake up every single day. We have 4, so, you know.
But you also have a baby. Is the baby in cahoots with the cats for food?
The baby is much more well-behaved than the cats are. Nah, I don't. When the baby's hungry, the baby lets you know that he's hungry.
Yeah, same thing with the cat.
Which is why I'm outside.
Man, that is a spacious backyard. Is that a shed you have in the back?
No, that's my house. I was a traveling comedian for a long time. I hope you don't think I can afford a house.
I thought you could. I thought you could with all the fat dollars that you made on the road.
Well, the Ed Sheeran music video money afforded me a lock on the shed. So,
Well, what Ed Sheeran music video money?
oh, I'm in the music video for the Ed Sheeran song "Don't."
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I have 2 questions. One, I've never heard the song. Is it good?
You know what? It's one of those things that, because I'm in a couple music videos, and I'm going to go as far as, I don't know. I like the song. When you're in a music video, they replay moments of the song over and over and over again. I ended up downloading that song because it grew on me. And I was going to say, but I'm in a rap video that did not grow on me. So I did not download that song. But I'm also in a Robin Thicke video that never came out because it's from the album that bombed. And I know that that's not I know that Robin Thicke is gross, but I still ended up downloading that song because it grew on me too.
I don't know who Robin Thicke is.
Robin Thicke is the guy who dressed up like Beetlejuice and grinded on Miley Cyrus on MTV. He's Alan Thicke's son. Oops, I dropped my my yard tools. He's a really gross guy that wrote an apology album to his wife while he was cheating on her, and he was sexually harassing all the females in the music video as I was there. He's a really gross guy.
Now, it sounds like it, especially since I've never heard of him. I'm going to do some.
Well, you and I are also elder gentlemen, so I don't know that I would have heard of him either had I not been cast to be I don't know what I was, an orderly or something like that in a music video that never came out because the album, I think, notoriously sold less than 100 copies in Australia. And he was like a big deal. Like you've probably heard of like the Pharrell song White Lines, at least because of the lawsuit and stuff.
No,
or
not White Lines was the rap song.
Right. They got sued for, I think, Blurred Lines is what I'm thinking. Okay, Blurred Lines.
I've heard Blurred Lines. That was a terrible song.
Right. Robin Thicke is one of the people who did Blurred Lines with Pharrell.
Okay. His dad wrote the Different Stroke song or sang the Different Stroke song.
His dad did a lot of the theme songs of television shows in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
And died where Allison's cousin played hockey in California.
Oh, he died at a hockey rink?
I think he had a heart attack at a hockey rink or something like that. I don't know. Come on, Robert. I'm going to be 48 this year. I bat about 35% accuracy for anything I say.
But look, if that happened, that's the most Canadian way to die.
Yeah, that is true. He was Canadian too. Yeah.
I knew Alan Thicke from Growing Pains and on How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, all right.
Where he played himself.
Did he really?
Yeah, he played a dickish Canadian version of himself.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
I don't imagine he was that good of a guy, considering his son is kind of a gross dude.
What are you talking? He was in the top 5 of American dads in the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, but publicists were great, man. Like, I read the first Michael J. Fox autobiography, and in it he talks about how he was just the worst human being in the world, but he had a great publicist. So
Who Michael J. Fox was?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like, he was such a monster that anytime one of his movies came out, his wife made him go stay at their cottage because she just didn't want to be around him because he was such a awful person. So
how could the star of the Joan Jett vehicle Light of Day be a horrible person?
I always feel weird quoting this wisdom from this person, but it is incredibly wise, and he probably didn't come up with this analogy himself. But when I worked with Dustin Diamond once, he told me that the age in which people become famous is the age that they stop maturing. So I think because Michael J. Fox got famous when he was in his early 20s, he was about as mature as a guy in his early 20s that people stop saying no to. And that's how people can become awful, I think.
Then that explains Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin seems like, I don't know, he seems like an okay guy. But yeah, he's probably awful, but I think he owns who he is. And I don't know, he's kind of he has kind of a punk rock quality to him that I think I like Macaulay Culkin.
Have you ever seen his band, the Pizza Underground?
That's what I'm referring to. Yeah.
I think that's true. Yes.
There's a guy, Harmar Superstar. He had a podcast. I don't know if he still does, but he had Macaulay Culkin on, and it was a really good episode.
They toured together.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to ask some riveting questions. Like, how did you get started doing comedy?
I also want to say that the fact that you didn't know Robin Thicke, but you do know Harmar Superstar, no longer makes you look like an old guy. It just makes you look like just too cool to know something mainstream like Robin Thicke.
I am cool.
Way to go, Schneider.
Here's a fun fact. I used to live in Minneapolis, and I'm in outside of St. Paul, and I'm at this strip mall called the Harmar Mall. And I'm like, this is where he got his name. This is where it
really.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. The band Silver Sun Pickups. There was a Silver Sun like liquor store, party store on Sunset, and Allison and I always wondered if they got their name off of, like, we're going to Silver Sun to pick up some booze or whatever. So
probably that's how they got it, because coming with a cool band name is really hard. It's much easier to do something else and add something to it.
I was in a band called Exploded Toad. That goes to show you how hard it is to come up with band names.
That's a great band name. Were you grindcore?
No, we were punk.
That's cool.
But I was in a metal band called Morpheus.
That's a horrible metal band name.
I know.
It's like you just open an issue of the Sandman comic and go, "That's our name."
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it had a really bad logo where all of the letters were connected. So.
Now, was there a flame around it?
I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think so.
I can't imagine you in a metal band.
Really?
Yeah. I can imagine you in a punk
Oh,
band, but not a metal band.
yeah, I was quite a metalhead
Really?
before yeah.
What's your favorite band?
Metal band or band in general?
Let's do metal and then let's do band in general.
You know, I like a lot of like German metal, like Creator and Sodom. But I also like Slayer, Exodus, more like thrash stuff. Um, I wasn't a big Anthrax fan growing up because I hated Joey Belladonna's vocals, but I do find that Anthrax is a band that has aged very well, and I can listen to it now.
One of my favorite shows, I think it was at the State Theater, was Young Black Teenagers, Primus, and Anthrax.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Young Black Teenagers is now a footnote in hip hop history with their hit song "I Did Kelly Bundy."
Oh, okay. And then also, I was a big GWAR guy, and I would go out to Richmond, Virginia, and help the guys in GWAR build props and stuff like that. So I guess GWAR is more metal than punk.
Oh, I love GWAR.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
funny story. I've seen GWAR a few times. First time I saw them was at St. Andrews, and first concert I ever went home from where I had to throw my clothes away
Oh, really?
because I was staying up
That
front.
stuff washed out,
I was young and stupid at the time.
Oh, you're older than me. You weren't that young. That was
I was
St. Andrews.
I was just stupid. It was like 80,
Okay.
89.
No. They were still playing Blondies. And the
Oh,
first few times they came to Detroit were at Blondies, and that was either 87, 88, or 88, 89. And then they played the Latin Quarter in 1990.
that was it.
And then like St. Andrews, maybe.
It was Latin Quarter. I totally forgot that place.
And then they went to like Harpo's and stuff like that.
So, were you around when
Are you
they
still
were?
there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Right.
That was the first place I ever saw them.
They were at the Motor City Comic Con one year.
Yeah.
And I ended up hanging out with them. We ended up driving through the Cash Corridor looking for hookers and crack, and then ended up at a bar drinking.
Really? What year was that have been?
I want to say 92, 93.
Okay. I would have been there. A couple of the guys and I ended up going to Harpo's because some kid went to the Comic-Con. I was like, my band's playing Harpo's. You guys want to come? We'll get you free beer all night long. So went, and then it was me and Don, who played probably Mike Dirks, who plays Ballsack. And then we just told everyone that I was Flatus Maximus, and so I got free stuff too. But I signed so many autographs for kids in Detroit saying I was Flatus Maximus from GWAR. And yeah, so, oops.
That's awesome. That is awesome. The
Yep.
person I wanted to hang out with us, but didn't, was the guy who played Sleazy P. Martini, but he did not.
Yeah, Don.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that would have been because he was hanging out with me then. Yeah. Yeah. Don is a great guy. I still kind of keep in touch with him a little bit. He has his own kind of manufacturing company called Hyper Real Productions, and they make like bobbleheads and stuff like that, pop culture
Oh, that's cool.
kitsch things. Yeah, he's a very good guy.
They were a fun band.
Yep.
They were definitely a live band.
Yeah.
And to listen to on records.
Yeah, I mean, I like them both. I kind of, after they went really weird, and then a lot of fans weren't into the weirder stuff, so then they clean, and I kind of wasn't into the metal stuff. By then I was more into punk. Ramones would be my punk band. And right now my favorite band is Idols, which they're a British kind of super progressive in their views, feminist, pro-immigration band. And they just have a really nice message that I agree and thoughtful, which I like.
I'll have to check them out. I think my favorite band right now is a band from England called Savages.
Okay.
And I was a big fan of the band Lush, and the lead singer just came out with a new band last year, which I'm also digging. I can't remember their name for some reason.
Oh, I like Lush a lot too. There used to be in the 90s, anytime there was a girl band or a band with a female front person, everyone I knew was just like, oh, Mike has a new favorite band. So, yeah.
The first time I saw Lush was at St. Andrews, and Weezer opened up for them, and the Sweater Song was like the biggest thing in the world.
Oh, wow.
And by the time
That's
Weezer
cool.
was done playing, like half the people just left.
Oh, wow.
I was devastated.
Hey, no, it's me. Seriously, I lived that. Do you remember Elastica?
Yeah, I remember Elastica.
I remembered going to see them at St. Andrews and really had like a groupie moment where I'm like, oh, I understand groupies because I would like to have sex with anyone in Elastica. I did not.
If you did, at some point you would have said, Robert, guess what? I had sex with someone in Elastica. Neither one of us.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's weird. I'm sure our paths have crossed many times before I moved back here and started doing comedy.
Oh, I'm certain. Yeah. I mean, we're about the same age and we like the same things. So, yeah. So between concerts and Comic-Cons, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk comedy for a second. I met you at an open mic that DJ Dangler was running at Hot Rocks in Warren.
Oh, that's where we met?
Yeah.
Cool.
And you up there and did you were doing a run through your evening with the authors of your
yeah.
I gotta tell you, I believed it for like a minute.
Really? That was my character that was a special effects artist who only molded penises.
And then the punchline where it was revealed that you were molested, I'm like, oh man, this is like one of the most brilliant pieces I have ever seen.
I had to, I'm bummed that the most recent evening with the authors got canceled. So I ended up breaking out the character that I created that for a Saturday in the Decojo video that I shot this morning, and that one will go up in a couple weeks. It's my Norwegian black metal character, Vargumlot.
Well, you are not Dickie Ricketts.
What?
You and Dickie Ricketts are not the same person.
You know what? Here's the thing. Alex and I have come to the decision that trying to promote truth out of character is making it really difficult to promote truth. So I'm gonna say once and for all, to the surprise of absolutely everyone, I am Dickie Ricketts.
No, no, Dickie Ricketts hates Mike Bobbitt.
Well, Mike Bobbitt isn't that much of a fan of Mike Bobbitt either.
No, I gotta tell you, I love the True shows, and I cannot wait to be on one again once this whole thing blows over.
Yeah. I had a, I know that the premise of this is that you're checking in on your friends and stuff. And I had kind of a rough week with depression where I told Alex, I'm done with truth. I told Alex and Tim. Tim, a lot of people don't know that Tim Denader is as much part of truth as Alex and I am, or Alex and I are. But But yeah, I told them both I was done, but I'm back around on it.
Good.
I'm not out.
Because it's one of the most creative shows in the Detroit area.
Yeah, just getting a little discouraged that it's a very hard thing to promote, and I think we do a really good show, and our numbers really took off in December, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is like, because they just kept climbing steadily to December, and I was like, okay, this is the month that we cracked. And then January, February, March, and we're back down, we're where we were kind of before. And I need to not be so number driven, but I don't know. None of us would be doing comedy if we didn't need the approval of strangers. So I just want the approval of more strangers.
It's I had on the second episode of this, I had a guy named Matt Keck, who is a comedian out of Kansas City, who kind of went viral about a decade ago with this video called "I'm a Snake."
Okay.
And I asked him why he does comedy, and I'll never ask that question again because the answer is the same for all of us. We are all narcissists, in some respect.
Yeah.
And we all want the approval and validation from strangers that we are funny and creative.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably universally true.
So let me ask you this. You've been doing comedy for how long?
Almost 20 years.
What has been your weirdest moment that you've ever encountered during a show?
During a show?
Or after a show?
The most surreal was the very first show I did in LA at a UCB theater. Louis C.K. dropped in to do a guest set right before me. So my very first show in LA, I had to follow Louis C.K.
How did that was
exactly like you think it would go. Everyone was like, oh my God, Louis C.K. Who's this guy?
That's messed up.
Yep. But they let me go back and do it again next time I went to LA. Okay, I was having a weird moment. If I seemed distracted, it was because one of our outside lawn furniture cushions was missing, and it was just behind me on the ground. So
cool. Mystery solved.
Now I have all my there we go. Yeah. What about you? What's the most surreal thing that's happened to you?
This is weird. I was doing my first weekend at a club. I was opening up for a friend of mine who was doing his first weekend headlining, and I only got like 7 minutes. And afterwards, I went out to get a drink between the shows, and this guy comes up to me afterwards. He goes, "You're really funny. Let me buy you a drink." And I'm like, "Cool." He starts talking to me about my set, and then he starts zeroing in on my joke I call Robert versus Jesus. And he's like, yeah. At some point in your life, you're going to need Jesus. And once I was like you, thought I knew it all. I was doing a lot of drugs, drinking, fucking a lot of women. And one night I wanted to end it. I had a gun in my mouth, and I was about to do it. I'm like, if there's a sign for me to not do it. And then he turned on the TV. There's a preacher, and he became a Christian. And then for me to get the beer, I had to pray with him. That's the most weird thing that ever happened to me after.
Does he not realize that thousands of years of Jews have done fine without Jesus?
He just didn't care. I got a free beer out of it. I just wish he, there wasn't a high cost that came with it.
Right. I remember when I worked at 7-Eleven when I was a teenager, I had someone decide that they needed to pray with me. And I was like, oh, all right. Makes you happy.
Which 7-Eleven did you work at?
Oh, yeah, that's funny because you live in Troy, the one at 18 and John R.
Oh, I no longer live in Troy. I am now a resident of Livonia.
Ooh, we're practically neighbors now.
Yeah, you are where? Northville or Canton or Clawson? One of those.
My spacious manor, that's my bathroom window, is Canton.
That's cool. Yeah, we are.
Oh, I mean, that's my bathroom window. Yeah, sorry.
Do you just have a urinal in there?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So
Yeah. Now this feels like MTV's Cribs. Like, hey, over here, it's my barbecue grill. This is where we have barbecues happening.
hold on, I'm totally coming over there this summer if the quarantine is lifted.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome anytime. Smoker attachment on the side.
Is that
Garden hose.
is the patio furniture where the magic happens?
Yeah. Yeah. Patio furniture. AC. You need the AC for when it gets hot. And it gets hot.
If I had any desire to edit this, I would put like music, like
Right.
there by Baruch.
Here's our pool.
Oh man, you got a pool?
My wife didn't take in the kiddie pool last summer when it was out, so it's probably not good anymore. It's collecting leaves. But I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it.
Oh man. So when do you?
I'm not mad about the dead spot on the lawn for where the pool was.
Oh, I thought that was a crop circle.
Yeah, we'll just go with that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Dickie Ricketts crop circle.
So how long do you think it'll be until we're all able to get back to normal?
Tim Donater is a scientist, and he's thinking it's going to be 17 months before we hit some sort of vaccine for everyone and we can get back to normal. That until then, we're going to be living in some sort of level of social distancing. And he's a smart guy, so yeah.
I think we'll be able to like start going back to office in May or June, but in shifts, kind of like what they're doing in China right now.
Well, that's what we're doing right now because I work during the day in international freight. So we're working in shifts where half the office is like 7:30 to 1:30 and the other half is 1:30 to 7:30.
Oh man, I just can't wait for that. I didn't want to ever, I never thought I'd be living through a pandemic.
Yeah, it's pretty weird to think that we're living in a defining historical moment right now. This is going to be, something that people remember forever. So
yeah.
How are you doing with it?
I am,
because you live on your own, right? You don't have anyone else there, or
I'm cracking up. I'm not gonna lie. There are days where I just want to pound my head through the wall. It's tough, but I'm hoping that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and I don't get sick.
Yeah.
Because I have asthma and that's just, not good for this.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird to think too that, how many things are going to be affected by this. Like whatever television we watch, there probably won't be new seasons of that anytime soon. And, movies, unless, it's already been made, I don't know.
I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
No, that explains why they're holding back movies until next year, because they know they're not going to be able to film anything. That makes
right.
sense.
Yeah. Well, there's no point in releasing them, and then, like they won't have anything in production right now either. So it's
Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I can catch up on my reading.
Yeah, I actually started. I've been having a lot of anger issues. I think that's how my depression is manifesting itself right now. So I actually decided to start reading up on Buddhism. And I'm finding that just the act of studying it and reading about it to be kind of soothing.
That's a lot deeper than what I'm reading.
Yeah.
I'm rereading Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
at least you're reading well-written fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week I read Peter Baggs' Hate, the first volume.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I love that book.
Yeah. I miss working in a comic book store because I got to read like pretty much anything that I was like had a passing interest in. I would read just to say that I read.
Which comic store did you work at?
I used to work in a couple locations of Comic City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I used to go to the one in Novi a lot.
Okay. I never worked in that one. There was one in Sterling Heights that I worked in the 90s, and they unfortunately had to close it down when I moved to New Orleans because they had no one to run it. And then when I moved back from New Orleans, they asked if I was planning on sticking around for a little while, and I told them I was. So then I helped them open one in Pontiac, which is still there. Yeah. And
a few times.
Yeah. And so those are the two that I worked in. But yeah, I worked at Detroit Comics for a little bit in Ferndale when that was still open.
Brian owned that store, right?
Yeah, Brian Kelly.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, Brian's a great guy.
Yeah, I was sad to see that store closed, especially right before I moved back here.
Brian had a neat story that he and his wife, Lori, their first date was supposed to be to go see Emo Phillips when they lived in Chicago. And then Brian ended up getting a gig on a movie. So he had to cancel what would have been their first date. So I was opening for Emo Phillips at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase. And I told Emo that story because, I'd pick up my comics every week, and, Brian would ask, where are you performing? And I told him, oh, this weekend I'm going to work with Emo Phillips. So I told Emo that story, and Emo was like, oh, you should invite them to the show and we'll put them on the guest list so they can have their first date. And so I did that. And then afterwards, me, Emo, Brian, and Lori all hung out and drank wine, and Emo kind of dropped character for a little bit then, and it was a very enjoyable, even though Emo out of character is basically just Krusty the Clown.
So I heard a story about Emo from one of my friends who lived in Atlanta, and his buddy opened up for him. So he asked Emo for a ride home. A ride the next day.
Yeah.
He thought he was driving Emo to the airport, but he ended up driving Emo from Atlanta to New York.
Wow, why?
I don't know, but he drove me to his house, and then Emo just would not let him inside.
Oh, that's weird.
And he did not break character the entire time. So I find it weird that he broke character kind of with you guys.
I found him to be completely delightful. I also told him that one of the few things my brother and I had in common growing up was we both loved him. And he was like, oh, what's your brother's name? And so I told him, and then he must have gotten my address from Roger at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase, because about a week later, I got a package from Emo in the mail, and it was everything he's ever released autographed to my brother, and which was just completely random act of kindness, and
That's
super
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Emo Phillips.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A brilliant guy and a very, very nice guy. I enjoyed him a lot. I know he does rub people the wrong way. Stu McAllister in Grand Rapids ended up taking him to morning radio, and Emo put his coffee cup down in the center console, and then Stu picked it up to like move it for some reason, and Emo kind of freaked out about that. But I get that. I don't want some stranger touching my, drink either, like, so Stewart was like, yeah, he's a jerk. And I was like, I don't know. He just didn't want your germs. Seems pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. I would never touch another man's coffee. There are rules.
No.
There are rules. So where do you think comedy is going to net out after all this is over?
I hope that the people that are being very creative right now, like the big time garbage guys doing all their Twitch stuff, I hope they keep utilizing technology the way they are to do things. I know I am more active now on YouTube, and I just started yesterday a second podcast. So I'm hoping that goes for myself too, that I start using these tools that I've had the entire time to do things other than go on stage and talk about my feeling and my butthole and stuff.
Yeah. Now, do you think the clubs are going to survive this, or do you think venues are, or do you think there's going to be a shift to more alt venues by the time this is over?
I think we're going to find what we found when the comedy wave started dying down, and that is the people that are in it because they genuinely love comedy will find a way to stay in it, but the people that are just doing it because it's a thing to do probably are already looking at jumping ship.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. So
Yeah.
before we go, I've become addicted to reading misconnections ads on Craigslist,
Okay.
and I scour the best of them. I'm going to read one to you, and hopefully you can riff a joke off of it.
Okay. I thought you found someone was bummed they missed me.
I wish that was the case, but this one was called Naughty at a Funeral in Kansas City, Missouri. I am looking for the guy that I banged at my uncle's funeral 2 weeks ago. We were sitting next to each other, and you started rubbing my leg while trying to comfort me. You told me that I was beautiful, and next thing I knew, we were walking to the bathroom. I'm really worried because you never did say how you knew my uncle, and I'm freaking out that we could be related. If not, I thought maybe we could continue where we left off. Maybe it was because it was taboo, but it was so hot. I don't think the funeral director knew what to think when we walked out of the bathroom together. Anyways, I hope to hear from you.
Wow. I mean, I get it. Like, there's maybe it's the going to high school in the 80s and liking goth girls, but yes, seeing someone in black. Yeah, I don't, I have less of a joke and more of a need to go take a shower right now. Sorry.
My joke, my thought is, whatever gets you off, and hopefully it wasn't. Yeah, I don't have one either. I'm sorry.
It's funny that this is the second time in 2 days where like my next door neighbor is out also doing work in their yard, and I'm like turning down the volume on my phone. And yesterday I decided to start watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and we take care of my mom also. That's her window down in there. And so I hit pause, and it was the episode where Bob Odenkirk played the former porn star.
Okay.
And they had a dinner party, and he was graphically describing a porno scene that he shot. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, all right, well, if I turn it off, then that's acknowledging to my mom that something's happening. I'm just going to let it play and pretend like this is totally normal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, man,
Yep.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope to see you sooner than later.
Yeah. I think Alex and I are going to have to start recording through technology more episodes of the podcast. We had luckily we had like 2 months of them banked, but yeah, they're gonna run out probably in May sometime. So we'll have to record with you this way.
Definitely. Or hopefully
Yeah.
May we can start getting together in smaller numbers.
I am finding that I'm not missing human interaction, but maybe that's just because I'm still working. So
And you have a family around you.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that was probably the better answer than what I said. Thank you.
All right, man. Well,
Ooh, I
stay.
just stepped on something on my lawn and a bunch of like spiders or bugs. Oh, spiders! Just I think I stepped on a spider thing. Oh,
Well, now you're going to be cursed.
yeah. I think I need to go back inside.
Yeah. But stay
This
safe.
outdoor stuff is gross.
It is. That's why I don't have a yard or do yard work.
Yeah. So that's cool that you're closer by now in Livonia.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
I've been exploring the area. I took a 4-mile walk yesterday.
What are your crossroads?
I am on 7 between Farmington and Merriman.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool.
I'm right by the abandoned Kmart.
All right. You're not too far from Floyd.
What's Floyd?
Floyd Washburn,
Oh,
the
no.
washboard comic. Yeah.
I didn't know he lived out here.
Yep. And he's our age.
Yeah, I've been on one show with him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's funny. I like his stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, drop me a line anytime you get lonely and stir crazy.
I will, man. Thank you so much. And I will, again, hopefully I'll see you sooner than later. Stay safe, man.
Okay, you too.